You ever hear a story where someone crosses a line so badly that revenge stops feeling wrong? Because one night, a guy shoved my friend hard enough to leave bruises, and a few days later, he walked into class only to discover something terrifying. His name wasn't on the roster anymore, and that was just the beginning. If you've ever watched someone you care about get hurt and wished you could deliver perfect justice without throwing a punch, you're gonna love this story. Hit like, subscribe, and settle in, because today's story proves revenge doesn't always require violence. Sometimes all it takes is access. This happened back when the internet still felt new. Before smartphones, before social media ruled everything. I was attending a local junior college, trying to figure life out like everyone else in their early 20s, juggling classes, part-time work, and relationships that felt way more permanent than they actually were. That's when I moved in with my girlfriend. We'll call her Lucy. Living together wasn't glamorous. Cheap furniture, mismatched dishes, a couch that probably survived 3 previous tenants. But it was ours. And honestly, those nights felt simple and happy. Game nights, movies, friends dropping by unannounced. One evening, Lucy told me she invited a classmate over. Her name's Sarah, she said casually. You'll like her. Turns out, I already knew her. We recognized each other instantly. Same high school, same hallway memories. Not close friends back then, but friendly enough. That night turned into one of those unexpectedly perfect evenings. Laughing too loud, board games getting competitive, pizza boxes stacking up on the counter. Sarah fit right in. After that, she became a regular. Dinner nights, study sessions, random movie marathons. She felt less like Lucy's friend and more like part of our little found family. But occasionally, she brought her boyfriend. Jay. And from the moment he walked through the door, something felt off. You know that person who sucks the air out of a room without saying anything? That was Jay. He barely talked, sat stiffly on the couch, arms crossed, watching everyone like he was judging us for having fun. We tried to include him. Hey man, want to play? Shrug. Short answers, forced smiles, silence. Nobody said it out loud, but we all felt it. He didn't want to be there. Eventually, he stopped coming altogether, always having some excuse. Honestly, we were relieved. Until the night, everything changed. It was late evening when Lucy's phone rang. Concern, then shock. Sarah's crying, she whispered to me. She's coming over. 10 minutes later, Sarah walked in, and she looked shattered. Eyes swollen, hands shaking, breathing uneven like she'd been running. Lucy sat beside her immediately. What happened? And slowly, between tears, the story came out. Jay had become obsessed with the idea that Sarah was cheating. Not with one person, with anyone. Us, me, Lucy, the entire friend group. The accusations started as questions, then turned into insults, then rage. He called her names, tore her down, questioned her character, her loyalty, her worth. Sarah said she tried to leave, just walk past him. And that's when it happened. He shoved her, hard. She tripped over a coffee table and hit the ground. Later, Lucy told me about the bruise, dark purple across her lower back. Sarah kept saying, it was probably an accident. He didn't mean it. But I wasn't listening anymore, because something inside me snapped. I'm a big guy, but I'm not violent. Never been in a fight, never thrown a punch. Still, my hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. That helpless anger, the kind where you want justice but don't know how to get it without becoming the bad guy. I wanted to confront him. I wanted to scare him. I wanted to make sure he never touched another person again. But I also knew one thing. Violence would solve nothing. And then a different idea formed. Because at the time, I worked a student job in the college administration building. And my job came with access. Student records, schedules, enrollment systems, everything. I didn't plan it immediately. But once the idea entered my mind, it wouldn't leave. There was an important deadline approaching. The last day students could add or drop classes without penalties. Back then, you couldn't do it online. You had to use special enrollment phones inside administration. Controlled systems, official changes, permanent records. One afternoon, sitting alone in the office, I looked up Jay's file. Just curiosity at first. Then I saw it. His full schedule, student ID, enrollment details, and one more thing. Jay was an international student, which meant he had to maintain a certain number of credit hours to legally stay enrolled. My heartbeat picked up. I stared at the screen for a long time. This was a line. Once crossed, there was no undo button. I remember thinking, you don't hurt my friends. You don't put your hands on someone and walk away like nothing happened. So I waited until the final day, the absolute last moment changes could be made. The administration building was quiet. Phones lined the wall, fluorescent lights humming overhead. I picked up one of the enrollment phones, entered his student ID, and took a deep breath. Click. Dropped one class. Click. Another. Then another. Within minutes, Jay wasn't enrolled in anything. But I didn't stop there. If you owed money to the school, certain services were frozen. No transcripts, no official paperwork. So I searched for every available course with extra fees. Lab fees, material fees, special program fees. One by one, I added them all. My hands moved calmly, but inside, I could hear my pulse pounding. Short breaths, dry mouth, adrenaline. Then finally, I hung up the phone. Jay's academic life had just been completely rewritten. No shouting, no confrontation, no evidence. Just silence. I told no one. Not Lucy, not Sarah, not a single friend. Life went on normally. But inside, I waited. A few days later, Sarah mentioned something casually. She'd broken up with Jay the night after the shove. She was nervous about seeing him again because they shared an English class on Tuesdays. I said nothing, just listened. Tuesday came, and that evening, Sarah showed up smiling for the first time in days. "You won't believe what happened," she said. Apparently, Jay walked into class like normal, but another student was standing because there weren't enough seats. The teacher started roll call, name after name, then stopped, confused. There seemed to be too many students. She checked the official roster, and Jay's name wasn't there. He argued, insisted he was enrolled, but the teacher only had one answer. If you're not on the roster, you're not in this class. Someone from the wait list had taken his spot. Sarah said he stood there stunned, angry, powerless. And then he left. She never saw him in that class again. Weeks passed. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. I checked his records one last time. The expensive classes were gone. But so were all the others. No active enrollment, no schedule, nothing. I never confirmed what happened next. Maybe he lost his semester. Maybe he lost his student status. Maybe he had to leave entirely. I'll never know for sure. And honestly, I didn't need to. Because Sarah was safe. She didn't have to sit next to him, didn't have to relive that fear every week. And for the first time since that night, I felt calm. Not triumphant, not proud, just balanced. Like the universe had corrected itself. Sometimes revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about restoring fairness. I still wonder if I went too far. But then I remember the bruise, the tears, the fear in my friend's voice. And I think some lessons only stick when consequences finally show up. If this story gave you that sweet karma